This is not going to be a very exciting video. It's certainly not going to go viral. Okay, this video is about three issues. It's about putting fees in a model that cause circularity, including DSRA with a prospective alternative prospective periods, and it's about putting capitalized interest, not IDC, not I don't care, not interest during construction, but when you actually don't pay the interest but capitalize it, something that makes no difference to virtually anything, and all I have to do is prove that. So all of these three things create our wonderful circularity problem. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a kind of interlude right now. Well, here's what I've been thinking lately. I've been thinking maybe I've been wrong about this issue with a iteration button, and the dangerosity is es ist gefährlich. It's so dangerous. And why, you know, so when you I received the file, okay? Received the file here of the circulation. It's hot, it's good. They have, you know, a nice little timeline, and they used some fast modeling standards. Oh God, this fast modeling standards. Now when I see this kind of shit, sorry, I kind of go nuts. Overdoing this stuff and not keeping the cash flow waterfall simple drive me crazy. Now what I'm going to do in the next couple minutes is just show you how dangerous this circular reference can be. Now, first of all, let's just do my basic bullshit thing. Okay, I always kind of put a little A somewhere in one of the things that causes the circular reference. So how about here? Put a little A, and then here, just a minute. Fuck. Did I put this? I have this, and now I'm going to enable the iteration button. Okay, that's what I should have done first. Okay, and I get a value, and if I press Control Z, I get a whole bunch of values. And then if I delete what I put in, it doesn't help me. And this doesn't help me, but actually, if I delete the whole row, it kind of I can get it back. I can't put an undo in then to remember my formula, but what I can do is retype the formula D86 plus 80, which is, by the way, an error, but whatever. Okay, and then I can copy that across. It doesn't work, but if I delete it, and then I oh, fuck. Well, whatever. It's showing how to do this. 86 plus 80. Now, oh God, I got to get rid of all of these things. 86 plus 80. Okay, there. I can get it back, kind of. Okay, and it's a pain, but maybe not disastrous. Let me show you the type of errors I make. So let's say I'm going to press Shift F11, and I'm going to just put a new scenario analysis. That's what I argue you should do. And I'm going to change the debt to capital. Now I'm not going to put the index code number in and all that, although I just did. I'll put code number 1, and we'll put the base case. And for some reason, we use 70% in the base case. Okay, and then let's do the low case. Let's do whatever. Put in a low case and a high case. Okay, and then I'm gonna put an index in, of course. Now, how about this? I'm gonna make the high case 80%. And then just temporarily, I'm going to make this the base case. So I'm going to attach this. Let me find where they put this 70% debt to equity. It's interesting how this, I think this is generally 1 minus this, but whatever. Okay, so let's put this number in. Okay, everything's working fine so far. And we're going to make a scenario analysis. And then I'm going to make my little index function. And purposely, I'm going to make a mistake because I'm not going to press F4 here. So I copy this across, and it gives me a value. Okay, so what? I'll have to redo it. And then that value gives me values all across. Now, okay, maybe this is okay. I'll just Control Z that. Then I've got this back. And I still have the damn values. And how do I get rid of these stupid things? And I'll tell you something that's even worse. I don't, honestly, I don't know how to do this anymore. Okay, if you never make an error, maybe you can use it. And you never want to use a goal seek, maybe you can use this. But it's a real pain. Now, if I had a divide by 0 here, I think it would be almost worse. Well, let me put that in. I don't know. Let's just say I put 1 divided by 0 for some reason. That goes into here. And then I think I probably, oh, no, it's all divide by zeros. And then if okay, I want to take that divide by 0 out, put it back to this one, and okay, I still get all those divide by zeros. This is the nightmare. It's so dangerous. If you maybe like messing up your whole life, use this thing. Or if you think you've got a perfect model and never ever make a mistake, you can use it. But since I just received this model, I thought I better show you the danger of this stuff. Okay, all right. Nice. Okay, I'm back. So let's first address now what I'm going to do, and you can please switch the video off. What I'm going to do is show you how to do the basic programming, which is really not so interesting or difficult. And then I'm going to add the parallel model to this to prove to you that it works. I'm kind of proving this to myself, so I'm making videos along the way. I'm going to give you this file without, without the circular reference of the whatever, the UDF parallel model, whatever I call this gimmick these days. Okay, and I've got my son's dog. My dog is no longer with me, and I am going to, I just extended the tenor and I extended the life compared to our last little assignment. Okay, so let's put an upfront fee of maybe, how about 1.5% and 1.25% annual commitment fee. And let's put a little switch in for the capitalizing interest and fees, and let's make that a switch variable, make it true as usual, and this is the reason it came out like this, is because I ran our generic macros. All right, I'm going to put a little checkbox here, waste some time, sorry about that. And I hate this when I can't get stupid thing. Right click, go to another sheet. And back to our sheet. Come on. What a waste of your time. Okay. And we have our little gimmick. Okay. And we can put that anywhere we want, obviously. Okay. And then I'm going to make another little switch. And the way I program this is if you put a DSRA, don't get confused with DSCRA, or don't say that, which I used to say, if this is less than 1, or let's put it greater than or equal to 1. Uh-oh. And I don't need an if statement. God, am I going senile? Okay, and then so if we put 2 in here, 2, Okay, then we're going to go forward 2 periods. If I put 0.5 here, I'll I'll not call it a period switch, but it'll use a percentage. Okay, so let's go and program some of this boring stuff. Now, the first thing I did was I put a little circular reference, and this thing comes from the purple sheet. Well, it doesn't really, but it did. And so I'm going to add some upfront fee, and then let's add a commitment fee. Okay, we'll put all that stuff in, and then hopefully our total will add up, and we'll have a circular reference related to those. We might be able to define the total project cost as well, but I'm going to leave it. Okay, and then let's go down to our funding section. So in our funding section, we better do the same sort of thing. We better add a couple of lines for the upfront fee and the commitment fee. Okay, and then hopefully our total is still okay. And we had a circular reference for the DSRA. I don't think we'll have one for these. We'll see. Then we put in our upfront equity, and in our funding, I think what we better do is this IDC, it might not be cash. So what we're going to have to do is make a little thing down here where we put less the capitalized interest. Now, when this is a little bit tricky, and it's kind of irritating to me because it's such a non-issue in terms of the IRRs and the economics and everything else. If we have interest during construction, we better adjust our ratio for pro rata and for upfront equity. So because the pro rata and the upfront equity, well, that's just funding. So what I'm going to do is try to find where I put in the upfront equity percent. Let's make this 72%. How's that? So it's not such a boring kind of 50% number. That means 70%, 2% of the equity goes up front, and the remaining is pro rata. Now this 72% was 72% of the equity, and this remaining is over here, and then we have the amount left over. But that we have to be careful of because we just want that to be only the funded. So we put in our capitalized interest in case we have that switch turned on. And then I think I should move this here. It's very important. And then maybe I should put less. Okay, and then we can put cash funding. Okay, and that's just this one minus this, and this will be, of course, there'll be a switch that switches it on or off, and right now it's all the same. Oops, I pressed the wrong stupid button. And we, instead of taking this number, we take this number. Okay, and then I don't have any debt yet, but when I do have the debt, we'll take the equity as a percent of the remaining pro rata, but this debt, we better be a little bit careful and take the debt that's just cash funded. So that was kind of confusing, and I apologize for that. And that means we'll take the debt minus any capitalized interest. And this will give us our percentages. Now it'll be, I hope, much more clear when I add the debt. Okay, so there we have a little bit of the whole thing set up. This thing should not be from the other sheet, but whatever. And then it shouldn't be colored, but whatever. We'll fix that in a minute. Okay, and then we'll go down and we'll go down to the debt balance. Now I have the interest, and we have the interest during construction. And of course, this is exactly the same if you have 20 debt issues and all that. So let's put the upfront fee. Now, this is kind of silly, but I suppose we better be very careful. We'll put the financial close date in, and that's going to be our whatever, our simple date, and then we'll put the fee in. Okay, and I hope you can see the circular reference raising its kind of head here. I'm not going to even say ugly. And maybe I'll put in one more thing, and this is where I'm arguing all the time to set this up. Now, I just saw this model, and this guy said, "Oh man, I use the fast modeling principles. I'm so good," and all this. Well, you know, here, let me do this. Let me do this. Yeah, this is how to do this. You get the sources and uses up there up front. And all I can say is I've just wasted too much of my stupid old life on this stuff, and it just works. And I hope I have an open enough mind to do this. Now I'm going to just for temporarily, I'm going to make this cheat, which is really kind of bad. I'm going to make the CFADS equal just the EBITDA, not take away the taxes, so I won't get a circular reference. And then we have some debt, okay? And of course now we have, I guess, a whole lot of debt. Let's put a higher how about I'll put a 1.5 times debt service coverage ratio in there just to get our debt a little bit lower. And the equity remainder is still low. It's still kind of low because we put 72% up front. And this has to, again, be just the cash funding, okay? All right, I hope I'm not being too opaque with all of this stuff. Now, so we have the total debt from our debt schedule. We have this, so let's just take this with the F4 multiplied by this with the F4 multiplied by something that's not that elegant, but just put an equal sign on the upfront fees. Okay? Enough. All right, and then we can put in, to get the commitment fee, let's put in the first, maybe the periodic fee percent. Okay, and this, I think, well, I'll do the same sort of thing. Let's just go up and get that assumption that we made for this commitment fee. Remember that depends on the period, and I guess I forgot that this is all an annual model, so this is just the same thing. But if you had a monthly model, which is the normal case, you'd of course divide it out. And then let's put in the commitment fee. And to be consistent with everything else, we should always use the opening balance. Now, what you can do is go up and get this commitment and press the F4 key and then subtract not the closing balance, but the opening balance. That's how much you haven't committed yet at the beginning of the period. And no F4 there, that was okay. And where was my bracket? That was just as idiotic. And then you better multiply this also by the construction switch. So all that's kind of easy. And then let's just fill that in. Now, when you fill it in up here so far, I'll just fill in the upfront fee. There'll be no problem whatsoever. Okay. Oops. And I hope it just looked like I had something really bad. It looked like I might have had this drastic, horrible, dangerous iteration button on. Okay, it just kind of looked like that to me. Okay, and then we put the commitment fee in. And that was, where was that? I went too far. Okay. So far, so good. Now, when we add all this together, sometimes we might have a circular reference for this. So I'm going to do the same thing I did up here, just add up all of the, and I should know that this is a circular reference. The reason I don't, it's because we've got a sculpting case instead of a, a sculpting case instead of a percentage kind of case where the debt is sized based on the percentage. And then I hope this is it. Okay. Now if I just click on this and put this to here and put this to here. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't have one with the upfront fee. I suppose that's somewhat logical. And then but I have a circular reference there, so we're going to have to use that. And of course, if I do this one, I also have a circular reference. So those are two. We have some more circular references, of course. Okay. Now, if I would want to put make this into capitalized interest, it's really not very difficult, because all we do is we add a line up here. So we add and maybe I should call this the cash funding. And remember, that comes from kind of the pro rata percents and all that. And we have to be very careful that the funding all works. And then we also add the interest capitalized. And for that, oops, let's put that little switch with that silly little true false thing I wasted your time on. Okay, and let's even maybe, just to kind of see how it all works, since I wasted the time on, we might as well copy it down to this one. Okay, that was kind of the idea of it. All right, and then we'll just say, okay, well, if this is true, then let's just go downstairs and get the IDC, and let's capitalize everything. The IDC plus the upfront fee plus the commitment fee. Okay. Oops. And then we of course switch this off. And I don't like that, so maybe I should multiply that whole thing by 1. Okay, big deal. And so we can now capitalize it or not. When we capitalize it, let's leave it capitalized for just a minute. And we're going to, I better get the sum of all this capitalized stuff down here. Okay. I have no idea. I'm admitting something I shouldn't admit, because I've discovered I'm a real idiot at a lot of things. I didn't know if it would create a circular reference, and apparently it does. So I'm going to compute it over here, and we better get that one from our circular reference sheet. And I hope you're saying, when I say this is like a cancer that spreads, like John Dean said about Nixon. You don't remember that. You could say that about somebody else, maybe not. And then we're going to have to put it in. Okay, so let me just type it in. This is horrible. But then we have a lower base. That means the equity funding is more as a percentage of the base, and that causes us to have this problem. And let me make it, how about let's make it 1.7 or something. It's a very high DSCR to get our debt to capital a little bit lower. So in the sources and uses statement, I'm sure there are some other ways to do this, and that came from right here, a little switch we have. Okay, and then I'm still going to use the positive number convention. Excuse me for that if you get very emotional about that. And I guess I'll leave that sum, but put a minus on the capitalized items. Okay, and if we sum this down here, 725, it doesn't equal the sum. Just a minute. Okay, and then I'm going to come back to that. Sorry. And then we take our equity up front, of course, that doesn't change. And then we have what's left over. And what's left over now is the cash funding. And then we use our actual funding percentages that we adjusted for. Okay, so that was kind of painful for basically a trivial issue. Okay, now let's kind of finish this up and work on our DSRA. Now, right now, the way I had the DSRA, I just said take the next period times the percentage, but I think we should put in that DSRA switch, which says, okay, maybe we're going to put in 2 future periods. Now, that's not exactly just 200% of one period. That's looking forward 2 periods. So what we do here is let's put an if statement, and let's put in the true. And if it's true with the F4, then we'll put an offset. And in the offset, we'll go up 1. And then we'll keep it on the same row. And we'll go forward 1 column. But then we're not quite finished. We're going to sum the offset. And we'll the way the sum works is you sum it across rows, which will only have 1 row which we're summing, and then we'll sum it across the columns, but we'll sum it for 2 prospective columns, 2 prospective periods. And I'm not quite finished because this doesn't kind of make sense the way you have it, but if you put a sum of the offset in here, whoops. I gotta find the bracket to put in. Let's kind of see if this works. So what this did is it put it went forward. So this 58, of course, is the sum of these two. This 121 is the sum of these two. Okay, and 122, whatever it is, 127 is the sum of these two. I'm looking down here. Okay, but we have to be a little bit careful because the amount we fund, this required DSRA, we're only going to fund this right at the period before COD. So we need a little switch that I'm just going to put here. You know, I bitch about this a lot. And I say, well, yeah, don't put these stupid true-false statements or these switches or flags or masks or whatever in the heck they're called by all these blah, blah, blah people. Don't put them where you don't need them. Put them where you need them. Okay, so this is going to be a period prior to prior to COD. Okay, and I haven't done all this stuff for ages, but let's just, since this is an annual model and all this, let's put E-date and go up to the COD date and put -12, because it's silly that I did this as a monthly. So that means that you know what it means, and then you just put this here, and you put an equal sign on this one. Okay, that's pretty simple. Okay, you might not like true and false. You can multiply that by 1 if you want ones and zeros, of course. And then we say, okay, this funding, this net required funding, I'm going to, instead of multiplying it by the construction period, I'm just going to multiply it by this period. Okay, so we put it all in one period, and then we have to put some more in, and then of course we have our gigantic amount we take out. Suppose this is in the last 2 periods now, because we had 2 periods of construction. So let's just test this out. If I put this to be 1, it's kind of like 100%. Then the percents or the periods wouldn't matter, and we just move 1 period. But if I go up here and put this to be, I should be percent or periods. If I put this to be 3, it's going to give me a really big DSRA, and I'm going to leave that like that. Because let's test just how much a really big DSRA hurts you. It should hurt you a heck of a lot, because that's a big percentage of the debt now. All right, and what we do with the DSRA, where we put the funding of the DSRA, is an issue that I'm going to come to a lot later, because you could certainly argue that this change in the DSRA should be part of the CFADS, or better yet, really, I'm serious about this, this is like net cash. Why shouldn't this be treated exactly like debt service, just the way they do in corporate finance? Think about it. And we should put an interest income that creates another circular reference, but I'm going to leave that one for a minute now. And there's all sorts of, what if we put a letter of credit instead of a DSRA? These are then some of the nightmare things. Okay, so I've got the issues kind of resolved. Now, of course, we're going to have a circular reference here. We've got all these circular references up here. And instead of screwing around with now I'm going to save this, I think. And now I'm going to put it, no, shoot, why the heck doesn't that save? I got some kind of long little stupid name thing going on here. I don't know what's going on, just to get me screwed up when I'm making a video. Okay, so now I'm going to go and do this, and I'm nervous as hell about this. Okay, so let's just go through it again, and I might have to edit the video, and I'm not going to repeat all the boring kind of stuff, but I want to show you once again just how easy it is. There's my cannabis biomass project. And that, remember, so what we did is we had a template model that you don't get. I'm sorry, Hetty won't let me give it to you, and she's probably right. And then we go to copy the function, and we press Control A, whoops, Control A, Control C, close it, go back to our sheet, alternate F8, alternate F8, and we've got, and then we just paste it. Okay. All right. And then what? And then we have it. Okay. And then the next thing we have to do is we have to go back to our sheet. Oops, this is another one I'm going to discuss in a minute. Where am I? And then we press Alt-E-M, and we go and we just put it in this model. and we move it to the end, okay? And then we start our little thing that I did before. And so I think what I'm going to do is just, I'm going to keep talking to myself, but I might very well turn off the video and edit this stuff out, because I have to then put the things like the construction period in and all of that. And I want to kind of prove to you that this is not a big deal to do. Okay? All right. And then we need to put in our capital expenditures. And I'm getting irritated with my stupid thing where I put the, all right, and then I'm going to put my évident in. Okay, it's all kind of boring. I have a longer model than last time. We need our tax depreciation. It's just on the physical capex. It's not got any of our IDC and our fee amortization or anything else. Now, I forgot to amortize those fees. Shoot. Okay. And that just screwed me up. So, okay. And then we let's put in our tax rate again. Okay, I did all of this before. Okay, now I'm going to put the equity up front. That's our wonderful percent that we just talked about. Again, if you don't like this and want it pro rata, you put 0. If you want equity up front, you put 100% in. And we're going to have this debt driven by the DSCR still. And then we don't need this. And then we'll just put one DSCR in this time. We don't need all those other DSCRs. And I'm going to just take that one. So we've got we're starting to get a model together. And by the way, what I do is I have it on, and then we don't have any mezzanine. And for the DSRA, I cheated a little bit because I programmed it exactly the same way I just showed you. So we could put in a percentage or periods. I think normally you'd put in kind of periods. And then let's go down to the debt schedule. And we first need our interest rate, as usual. And just to remind you, you get the interest rate from the from this thing here, okay? And then you, okay, now this time we'll put an upfront fee in. Okay, and the upfront fee is here. I'll just take it from here. I think that's good enough. And then we'll put in our periodic commitment fee, which could be, you know, monthly. Probably would be monthly. I don't have any political risk insurance, and I'm going to just put a sculpting switch in here, okay? And then we have the length of the debt, which we better put in. And I'm going to make a second video here. Excuse me for kind of going on and on. If anybody's still here, I would be absolutely shocked. We have no balloon payment, and this is not a refinancing issue. So we're essentially ready to go. Now, what I did here, okay, I apparently had to shift control right arrow, shift control down arrow, press F2, shift control enter to kind of redo the. Okay, we also have to put in this capitalized fee switch, which I switched to be negative. Let's put it as positive. And now, when we have our model, we can see some of the results. Okay, and here we have our total interest during construction, our upfront fee, our commitment fee, our DSRA account, our capitalized interest, and our pro rata equity funding down here, and so on and so forth. And then, so let's do this. I'm terrified. I'm shaking in my boots. I don't have boots. Well, what? Shaking, whatever. So let's attach this now. The reason it's purple is because I made it a purple sheet. And we'll start putting the interest during construction in, meaning that we can attach this. Okay, and then of course we don't have any circular problems. And then we put our upfront fee in. Don't worry, it's a little different because, I didn't attach the CFADS, and then we put our commitment fee in. Okay. And then we'll have our sources of funds, and just to kind of check things, oops, I went one too far. I'm going to show the total amount of the debt, okay? Which is up here, 511. No. Just a minute. Debt and equity sources, yes, it's 511. Okay, and then which is different because of my thing with the and the DSRA isn't attached yet. So let's go down and attach the DSRA, which is right up here. Okay, and then we've got our sources and uses of funds, and then we better go and do the last piece, which is to attach the CFADS. Come on. Income tax section, CFADS section. Okay. So last time, I cheated. And okay, now it's the end part of this video. There was an interruption. And I admit there were some things wrong, but the interesting thing is that the incorrect items were things like when I put the capitalized interest in, not that one. When I put the balance of the debt in, I didn't add the capitalized interest. And when I put the depreciation, I already told you I didn't put the depreciation on the IDC. So now you can kind of look here. There's an equity IRR in our model. There's an equity IRR in our parallel model. And they're the same. Now, I might have to go and change a few items. So let's say that instead of capitalizing the fees, I don't capitalize the fees. And it changed. If I capitalize the fees, it was 10.27. If I don't capitalize the interest and the fees, it was 10.24. So I capitalize them, and I'm looking at both pages. 10.24, just a minute. Don't capitalize them. I have to excuse me. 10.27. If I do capitalize them, exactly the same IRR. For me, that is just such an incredible sight. If I put a 3-period debt service reserve account, and I had a mistake in the debt service reserve account as well, I get 9.39 IRR. If I put 1 in there, I put 11.51. 11.51. If I put 0.5, I get 12.31. 12.31. So it all works. If I put 0, watch this. This is dangerous. 13.27, 13.27. So this is by attaching the parallel model, I get all of this, okay? But again, the objectives of this thing were twofold. One was just to show you how to incorporate and how to model things. So I'm putting on the website, I'm putting a file on the website with the blanks, and you can work through the exercises. And I'm very sad to say I'm not putting this whole parallel model thing up there. For that, you're going to have to call me or something and beg for it. Or, of course, my official position is that you have to take a class. All right. Okay. That's that one. And let's stop this video finally.